with any apologies. Can we agree the minutes of the last meeting? Chair. Okay. We approve from the correct record. Just a couple of announcements. Obviously, there was a very sad death of Putney's at the weekend. And I think, again, we need to remind people about the dangers of swimming in our lakes and our reservoirs. Very dangerous, very sad for the family, very sad, and our condolences to them. I don't think we have too much more detail, but it's a very sad occurrence. And then yesterday there was the taxi demonstration outside, which was quite vocal, went on for a few hours, and then in the middle of it all, the fire alarm went off, so it was quite an eventful morning, so I hope today it's going to be a bit quieter. Jack and I are meeting with representatives of the taxi group at 12:30, just to listen to what they have to say. With no urgent items to add, I'll draw your attention to Declaration of Interest at item 5, and I'll draw your attention to the exclusion of press and public at item 6. So we go on to the key decision reports at the White Rose Forest. Jack.
Thank you, Edith. I'm delighted to be able to move this report to Cabinet, setting out our exciting plans to plant 600,000 trees across our district over the next 4 years. This planting will see new areas of woodland, expansion of existing woodlands, the creation of microforests and urban parks. In short, nothing less than the greening of our district. As the new trees begin to mature, they'll provide habitats and safe spaces for nature, more recreation opportunities for our citizens, sequester carbon as part of our climate change goals, and also improve local air quality. The funding approvals requested for this report are drawn from the Climate Change Capital and Revenue Allocation, as outlined on section 9.1 of the report. In addition, it is expected that much of the funding allocation can be recovered as grant funding through the White Rose Forest Partnership. It really is a win-win. With low cost to the taxpayer and huge benefits for our communities, we've already seen some of these exciting new woodlands start to take shape, like that in Thornsmore in Wakefield and in Pontefract Park, and it's exciting to envisage more of these across the district. The recommendations for the report are set out at section 10 on page 12 of the agenda. I ask that members agree these, including delegations to the relevant officers, so that we can move forward with our tree planting plans.
Yeah, can I just say, I mean, it's excellent, not just what this council is doing, but what councils are doing across the whole of the country. On my way here today, on the radio, there was an announcement from Airwick, and they're giving away lots and lots of seeds to anybody and everybody to actually create wildlife areas rather than concrete areas. So I just wondered if that might be something you might like to look into.
Yes, certainly, Maureen, thank you for that. We'll look into that scheme. I know we're closely engaged with the Woodland Trust and other voluntary groups at the moment, but we'll certainly see if we can use that scheme and get some more trees there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And what I particularly like about this is the involvement of the community, especially the children, because I think you build it up within them when they're involved in this sort of thing, the development of trees and all. So I think it's marvellous. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I think following on from what Margaret said, they do feel that they own the trees and it's ownership. Jack and I met some young people last week in Queen's Park at Castleford, and they were so knowledgeable that they put me to shame really, but they did feel ownership of the parks and the trees, and I think if we can get young people involved at the beginning, it can protect the generations to come. So I think it's a great report, Jeff. Can we agree that report? Thanks very much. Item 8 is the funding that we've from the DCMS to support the creative network. This is great news as long as we make sure that we use it in the right way. So Michael, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, thanks Lisa. So back in 2019, Cabinet will remember that we secured 4.38 million from the Cultural Development Fund, and that was the biggest allocation of money from that fund in the whole country, which is absolutely fantastic news. We've now secured another £5 million as part of the budget announcement from the government that confirmed 18.8 million into local cultural development projects. So again, Wakefield and the entire country is securing the lion's share of this funding. So I think that says a lot about our officers and their plans for the year and what they're doing. In terms of what this money will be used for, there's two things to it. The first is we want to bring back into use some of our cultural assets across the city. So places like the Elizabethan Gallery, we want to see local people coming into here, developing businesses, growing them, and providing space for skills to be developed and for local people to come and see art being created. The second part is all about public art installations. So this is getting into the city some really significant sculptures, some colourful murals, poetry in the pavements, public art that really sells Wakefield, really makes you want to come into the city, have a look around, increase footfall, just make the place look and feel even better than it already is. So, I mean, there's two options here. It's accept the funding or it's turn it down. I think I know what we're all going to go for. I would ask Cabinet to approve this, and I look forward very much to keeping you up to date on how we're using this money to transform those parts of the city.
Thanks very much, Martin.
Yeah, thank you for the report, Mike. We really welcome it, and of course, we've got 170 money to go say no. I'm really excited about the Elizabethan Gallery. It's a much loved asset to this city and to this district. We've got many jewels in the crown, and that's it there. We're more so, and we'll see how we want to expand on that, improve the Elizabethan Gallery, get it back open again. So, you know, well done on the rewards.
I think you're right there, Martin. If you can keep us updated, we need to know what's going on with both of those buildings on a regular basis. It's gone too quiet for too long, and I think we need to know exactly how it's going. And people, they're both sensitive buildings, and people in Wakefield mention it over and over again, what's happening to these buildings. So if we can have regular updates. Can we agree with the report then? Thank you very much. Maureen, your report.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The Care Act 2014 sets out the Council's obligations to meet the needs of people with care and support needs, giving individuals choice in their support to help them live independently and supported lives within our community. Recommendation 3.1 highlights that we take advantage of a more flexible way of commissioning services for people with learning disabilities, autism, acquired brain injury, and for a longer period of time, and agree to change the way in which the Council has historically commissioned these services. Currently, the My Life service is commissioned for 4 years, and during that time, no further applications from providers can be registered. The extension of the My Life service register to a maximum of 10 years will allow more providers to be added to the register, giving service users more choice. This also offers the Council a much more flexible way of commissioning. To be added to the register, providers do undergo rigorous checks. A stakeholder consultation will take place in preparation for the pre-procurement, and feedback will be sought from service users. Failure to recommission is highlighted in 12.3 and the recommendation is outlined in 3.1. With that, I will report.
Thank you. Anyone want to comment? You are happy with the report? Thanks very much, Maureen. That's great. Thank you. And we're looking as if we're getting money from all over down this today. It's good news, so you have to take us through the report.
Thank you, Leah. One more step on the journey to securing towns funding. Yeah, don't get too excited just yet. As Cabinet is aware, Wakefield Council for Wakefield City Centre and Castleford Town Centre was successful in securing funding up to £48 million, subject to suitable business cases being made. This report is to allow us to progress that process to enable us to accept the funding. So the purpose of the report is detailed on item 2, that the town fund will provide core public investment from government to drive the regeneration of Castleford and Wakefield to deliver long-term economic and productive growth on both places. The purpose of this report is that we can approve the allocation of £14.3 million of accelerated capital funding and £766,000 of revenue funding ahead of receiving the £48.8 million from government. And this will enable us to do significant amount of preparatory work to ensure that we are able to have shovel-ready schemes in both Castleford and in Wakefield when the funding is available. I can now confirm that on the 15th of July this year, we received from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government a document that states that we have been successful in securing those monies, subject to us completing the rest of the procedures and policies that are in place, and we are working towards doing that. So the recommendation from this report is simple and straightforward, although it has a rather large sum of money attached to it, that we approve the allocation of the £14.3 million and revenue funding 7.66, enable us to start preparatory work on securing buildings and so on and so forth, as detailed in the report, which will mean that we will be in a position to complete the acceptance of the money and ensure that we have this much needed £48.8 million investment in Castleford and in Wakefield. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the hard work starts now. It's good that we've been granted the money, but obviously the schemes will have to be worked on, but I'm sure you and your officers are on this. Anyone want to make any comment?
Can I just say that the officers behind the scenes are working extremely hard on these two major projects, and they're also working extremely hard with our financial and our legal colleagues to ensure that it all does heads together.
That's good. It's great news. So, can we agree the report? Thanks very much. And the next item is yours, partly certificates.
So this is all about maximising the value of the land that we own on City Fields. As I'm sure Cabinet is aware, that we own circa 60 acres of land on City Fields, and we wish to make a payment, an investment of £700,000 to work with consultants to ensure that this patch of land that we take forward will enable us to deliver our commitments as set out in theme 1 of our housing plan for 2019 to 2022, which includes retaining control of the quality and design of the type of houses on that land, the type of tenure, and also will provide good neighbourhoods that will meet the aspirations for the approved City Fields Master Plan. Maximising the strategic value of this land will enable the council to be more visionary in creating a better housing solution on that particular place and be stronger in meeting the unmet housing needs across the whole of the district, but in addition to increasing our capital return on the land. So the recommendations are that Cabinet approve a budget of £700,000, which will include a sum of money for internal planning fees, which will allow the council to take a strategic view of the land use of City Fields, creating a healthy, balanced community, and to deliver a development that will support the vision and the principles in which the Cabinet approved the City Fields Master Plan. With that, I move the report.
Honestly, I think this is a really exciting way of working. In the past, we've sold land to developers, and they've promised things to us, and of course they've come across things on that land that has meant they've just spent more money, so they've not been able to deliver social housing, for example. So I think doing it this way will mean that we're going to get what we want as a council out of any development, and that's proper social housing. So I'm really excited about this report, and I know that the team have worked hard on this, so thank you.
The team have worked very hard, and that's at the core of this. This relatively small investment up front could generate a significant amount of income to the authority at the end, but give us housing stock that we need across this area.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I also really welcome this report, Darren. I think it's, as you say, there is clearly a gap in what the private sector is providing in terms of affordable family homes, in terms of bungalows and buildings like that for people with mobility problems. I also really welcome section 4 of the report we're talking about working with the CCG to identify a new medical centre. I think we know that existing services are under pressure with all the additional new houses at City Fields, so I think that's a really welcome step. And also to note that we're going to look at trees and increase biodiversity on the site. So I think it's a great report and it'll enable the council to do a lot more with that land. So thank you.
Thank you, Lord Roberts.
Yeah, obviously, we are going to spend some money on consultants, but this will bring in the things that we want to do. It will give us control of the land and it will deliver what we need to deliver across the district. So I think it's an excellent report, and I know, Darren, that the officers have worked really hard on this, balancing it out with what was the right thing to do, but this obviously is the right thing to do. So what we can all do moving forward. Okay, thank you. And the next item is the Welbeck review. Just before I bring Jack in, I would say that this issue has gone on for a long time, gone on over 20 years. Mistakes have been made, remedies have been found, other mistakes, and we felt, Jack and I, that we really needed to put this into the public arena so that once and for all people can see what went wrong at the time. It's an historic thing, as I said, 20 years, but what went wrong at the time and how we attempted to put it right and how we did put it right in some cases and how we are putting it right now and bringing forward a country park that is marvellous for the community. So it's a paper here with warts and all, but it's an historic thing that we need to sort out and move on and start with a fresh slate. And if we hadn't have done this, people would be talking about this forevermore, and it's time now that this was drawn to a close and we move on with positive results. So, Jack,
yes, the report is in Darren's name, but because I have to come in after Councillor Whitefield to read it.
Thank you for that, Leader. So the purpose of this report is to update the fact that the Wakefield, that the Welbeck landfill site, its operations will be coming to an end, and looking at the future of the site, the surrounding land and bringing forward proposals for an extensive country park. As the leaders pointed out, this is a very historical document which gives a water-all approach of what's actually happened there. But looking forward and moving forward more importantly, it's giving us the opportunity to actually make a legacy on that site, which will be green and interesting and very welcome to the public to visit. So this is to request funding in order to carry out a range of surveys and to prepare a feasibility and business case for the redevelopment of the Welbeck site and the surrounding area. The recommendations are shown in section 12, very simple and straightforward. The cabinet notes the background of the updated return of operation of the Welbeck landfill site, and the cabinet approves funding of £260,000 to undertake the initial planning and feasibility work. This will also include project management support and focusing on the development and the plans and the business case for taking this forward. The Cabinet also authorises the Service Director for Property Facilities and Health and Safety in conjunction, and I would like to make a slight change here. So it says portfolio holder for regeneration, economic growth and property, to include the portfolio holder for climate change and environment, to ensure that both of us have a full hand on the till for this particular project. So with that slight change, I would like to move the proposal.
Thanks, Denise. Yeah, I really welcome this report, as you'd expect, and I also thank Darren for his comments there and amendment to the report to ensure that the environment and all sides of this. I think this report is about delivering on our promises. We were very clear in our budget council meeting that we would transform Welbeck into a country park, and this is the first key milestone on that journey, really, to look at planning, scoping and recruitment of a project manager to really lead on this work. I think it's only right and fair for those residents that have had to live in the shadow of Welbeck for many years that we disclose the history of the site before we move on with our plans for the future. There is a saying, transparency is the best disinfectant, and I think really we've nothing to hide in this, and we really want to show that a landfill site can become something special and a green space at the heart of our district for everyone to enjoy. And the opportunities presented by this are going to be immense. We're going to be able to plant perhaps 30,000 trees, there'll be nature trails, water sports, and a thorough consultation with the community to see what they want the site to look like. So with that, I'm very happy to agree with this report, and I do welcome Darren to show us the environment for the site.
Yeah, Darren, thank you for fetching the report today and what's the all, and it just make interesting reading. It's just, we start thinking about it today, something that none of us started off, when I see the end of it, we started at the end of this a while back. It's massively affected the communities of Stanley, Altos, Eastmore, Normanton and many others over the years. But to see now that our lasting legacy and something positive in that area, I think it's something we should really focus on. I mean, Jack, Darren, our local area in Stanley, it's seen from all the quarters on there, it's seen from a country park on there. I think it would be such a massive benefit, especially to people now that are city fields as well for recreation. So I just really welcome the report. It's been an ever-changing industry as a waste, municipal waste industry. We've had to deal with over the last 30 years where it's been, decisions that have been made. So I think today is a positive, but I will move forward for everyone welcome that.
Yeah, I echo what Jack and Matthew have said. I completely welcome this report. I know I've attended meetings in the past where people have come along and spoke about how they've been attending these meetings to push against Welbeck and everything that's happening there, and it hasn't been nice for a lot of people. And I think this will just be absolute music to their ears to see that they're going to actually be consulted and took along with the process, and that's what they like. I know one woman in particular is extremely happy. It's something that she can leave to her grandkids. While she may have had to deal with that, she's now, she's fought and she's now got something, thanks to yourself and Jack, that she can be proud of. So I know she's very happy to do.
Anyone else? Okay, can we do that report? Thanks very much. Limitations of coroner's court.
So the report proposes relocating the coroner's court from Northgate to Merchant Gate. And the main reason for this, as you see in the report, is to create a modern and accessible facilities for families attending inquests and other service users, such as jurors and representatives. And the building that we have currently doesn't fit that bill. Northgate is a listed building, and Cabinet did previously agree to it being sold to support the civic water regeneration scheme if suitable alternative accommodation can be found for the coroners. The report sets out that we have balanced the pros and cons of refurbishing the current building at Northgate against leasing Merchant Gate, and on balance, Merchant Gate is a better option. The senior coroner is supporting the move, and Leeds Council, who do meet 70% of the costs, have also indicated that they accept them. So that would be my recommendation.
And then the procurement of the wide area network.
So this report seeks approval for the procurement of an aggregated wider area network and the procurement of a separate managed service, collectively acting as the underpinning infrastructure, servicing the needs of the whole council. It aims to use the council buying power to trigger further investment across the whole district. It represents an innovative approach to delivering a future foolproof network for the organisation, and it brings forward private sector investment for residents and businesses. As a council service, it will improve and develop more emphasis placed on the organisation's ability to deliver services through online interactions, and this will work to ensure that infrastructure is always non-limited. I think from COVID we've all realised how important the need is for high-quality connectivity infrastructure for residents and businesses, and they're all likely to benefit from this procurement approach in terms of being able to get the fibre network rolled out across the district. Costs are not expected to remain within the current revenue budget, so we're not asking for any more money to do this, but we will get more from what we currently pay out. There's been months of research and that has indicated that this approach is sound and it will deliver the expected benefits. I think what's key to this is there are additional social value outcomes that obviously can't be set in stone now, but we will see them. It's
natural that if you roll out sort of infrastructure to the entire district, that social value will come, and they'll be considered as part of the elevation. The public sector engagement's been undertaken and will continue through procurement. So I'm asking today for us to be able to go out to procurement and for the delegated decisions to be to the service director himself.
As part of this, I think what one thing this pandemic has taught us is quite important connectivity to a good network is in the schools especially, and as you say, the report, we all want to phone the doctor now to discuss any problems we have. So I certainly support. I think it's unavoidable, to be honest, and I think it's something that we really need to get around.
Anybody else have a comment? Okay, can we close the report? The next item is the financial health report. This is the first financial health report that we've brought here for 21-22. And at this stage, we are forecasting an overspend of 31,000. This is really because of all the COVID and all the money that we spent and the loss of income to the council. So I don't think it's anything for us to worry about. The revenue reserves are set out at item 7 to 8 about how we will use the revenue budget, etc. So what we're asking you for the moment is to note the forecast for 2021-22 and we will give you further updates. Any further? Thank you very much. And then Margaret, an update on the children improvement plan.
Yes, as you can see this paper, we're just wanting Cabinet to note the progress that we've made against the original improvement plan, which was brought in 2018 following the Ofsted visit, which gave an inadequate judgment of children's services. We also wanted to note the development of an updated improvement plan to deal with the next stages of improvement and the arrangements for monitoring the progress of the new improvement plan, which are detailed at 511 on page 145. I think it's important to note the work done by the improvement board over the years since 2018, and I really need to thank everybody involved. There were 164 actions identified in the original plan, and most of these have now been dealt with that actually come to fruition. So we needed to focus on what we've achieved and what we need to achieve further. So the board requested a full audit of the original improvement plan and drafted a more focused improvement plan based on the findings of that audit. And that was approved in April 2021. So in section 513 of the report, there are 5 sections to the new plan. Section 1 focuses on cross-partnership actions across 4 priority areas. Sections 2, 3 and 4 relate to children in need of help and protection, children in care and care leavers, and section 5 are actions we are monitoring from the old plan as they are just awaiting data to show that they are fully embedded. So, as I say, we've come here with this the recommendations for Cabinet to note the progress against the original improvement plan and the development work on the updated improvement plan to deliver the next stages of improvement, and Cabinet also to know the arrangements for monitoring the progress of the new improvement plan, which includes quarterly reporting to Children and Young People's Overdue and Scrutiny Committee, Council issued a portfolio and a report of the full Council, the Improvement Board with an independent chair, the Council's corporate management team, and partners and all elected members via the partnership briefing email from the artist.
Thank you, Margaret. I think Cabinet members should know that this is a really important paper. The improvement plan matters so much for our reputation and for the council and for the children that we look after. But I like the monitoring arrangements, Margaret. I think it's good that we're on the I think the team to be congratulated for all the work we've done on this and to bring this forward with an updated improvement plan. It's marvellous because we can never forget what happened in the past and now to move on and continually improve what we're doing. I think it's great and I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I think it is important that we don't just sit back and say that we've done this. We need to focus on what still needs to be done and to make sure we continue improving as we move forward.
We need to continue all the time on this and never let up. No. Anyone want to comment? Maureen?
Yeah, I just want to say I welcome because the new domestic abuse bills come out, which means children are now seen as victims in their own right, and I know that we're working across the council, adults and children's services to actually help, and I'm glad that that is actually in the report and is one of the main focuses, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Can we agree with the report? Thanks very much. Okay, and then the last item, which is in private, I think everybody can be